The following question is related to the periodic table, and the question states that the diagram shows an outline of part of the periodic table, and you're given the four elements that are marked W, X, Y, and Z, and he's asking which statement is not correct. So all the statements are related to W, X, Y, and Z. One thing that we can do is we can look at an actual periodic table that is given with the exam paper and find out what W, X, Y, and Z are. So here's my periodic table, and I've marked the elements. This was one element, rubidium. Then there's indium, that's in group 3. Then you have silicon, and you have chlorine. Remember, these two are metals because this is the staircase that differentiates metals from non-metals. Although this would be somewhat like a metalloid because it's very close to elements that belong to that are very close to this line, to the staircase line. On the right hand side, these elements are all non-metals. On the left hand side, these elements are on the left hand side of the staircase line. All these elements are metals. So elements that are very close to this line, they would have metalloid properties. So this is a metal. This is classified as a non-metal. So coming back to my question. So I've marked all the elements on the question, and which statement is not correct. Now we need to figure out. The first statement is that the melting point of W is lower than that of Z. W is rubidium. Remember, rubidium is a metal. Although it's a metal with a relatively low melting point, but still the melting point is very high. Whereas this element Z is chlorine, and chlorine at room temperature is a gas, and that it's a non-metal, it's a gas. That would indicate that chlorine has a much lower melting point. It has a much lower melting and boiling point. So the melting point of W is lower than that of Z is incorrect because chlorine would have a much lower melting point as well as boiling point. So the first statement is definitely incorrect. So this is going to be your correct option. It's going to be option A. We're also going to discuss all the other options just to confirm whether option A is the incorrect statement that we are looking for. W and Z could react together to form a compound WZ. So W is a metal. It's in group 1. So if it's in group 1, it has 1 valence electrons. Z is a non-metal in group 7. So W has 1 valence electron, Z has 7 valence electrons. What W would do is it's going to lose 1 electron. It's going to form an ionic compound with Z. Z would end up gaining 1 electron to complete its outer shell. So the compound is going to be, it's definitely going to be WZ. So that statement is correct. The next one is that C statement is X could form an oxide X2O3. X is in group 3. If it's in group 3, that means it has a charge of +3. Oxygen is in group 6. That means it has a charge of -2. So if you use the crisscross method, the formula is going to come out to be X2O3 using the crisscross method. Get the 2 over here and the 3 on this side. So the formula of the compound is going to be X2O3. If you look at option D now, Y could form an oxide YO2. Now Y is silicon. And silicon, the most famous compound is sand. Sand has a structure of SiO2. It's a giant covalent structure. So the formula of sand is SiO2, which is correct. If you replace Si with Y is basically silicon. So the formula is going to be YO2. So option D is also correct. So all the 3 options are correct. They confirm correct. So the first option is confirmed incorrect.